Hey Supermoms, my name is Shiloh. Are you struggling with squats? Or just wondering if you're even doing them right? Or maybe you're thinking, can I even fit them into my busy schedule? Will they give me the lower body I've always wanted? In this video, you will even hear how my wife went from not even being able to do the bar at all to now being able to squat so much more. I won't waste any time. Let's hop into this 10-minute guide to transform your body one squat at a time. This is Squat Mastery. The number one thing I see with squats, a lot of the time, people think that you actually start with your knees first, but actually you don't start with your knees, right? You want to keep it, everything is like different movements that you do in real life, right? You want to make it as natural as possible. So when you go to sit down in a chair, do you sit down like this? This is how a lot of people are squatting. They're squatting with your knees first. Actually, the first thing you do is you sit back with your hips first. That takes pressure off your knees and you're loading on your hips as well. So the first thing you'll do is break at your hip. So hips back, then you start dropping with your knees and then back up with your hips. So sit back, hips first. Don't start with your knees. You're like, why are my knees hurting? Because you're starting with your knees and you're leaning too far forward. So hips back, back. Once you hit your depth, come back up, right? Now this isn't proper depth. I'm just using this as an example, right? When you're squatting, I see so many people squatting like this. And girls are wanting bigger legs, bigger butt, and things of that nature, and you're squatting with this kind of depth. What actually happens is you're not even training your glutes and your hamstrings yet. You actually, to get that, to train those two things, you want to get to about here, because now your glutes and hamstrings have no choice but to work to help you get back up, right? So this is how your forms will look. Sit back with your hips, sit back, get at least 90 degrees, and then back up with your hips, okay? You don't want to put all your weight on your toes, right? You want to put your weight, you want to really balance it across your foot, but at the very least, middle of your foot to the heel of your foot. Because if you put all your weight on your toes, what happens is you fall forward, right? Especially when you have weight on your back later on down the road, you want to make sure that you're balancing it out. So look at my foot. When you see me squat, the flatter the shoe, really the better too. But when you see me squat, you'll notice that watch my heels do not come up. If your heels are coming up, you'll notice that's a lot of time that's tight ankles, right? Or sometimes you need to widen your stance. So watch my heels. See how my heels are not changing? That's what you want. You don't want to be leaning forward. Another thing is, your stance makes a big difference. If you're really close, like this for example, you're working more your quads, right? So if you squat like this, it's a lot of quad dominant work, right? You go a little bit wider, then you're gonna work a little bit more of your hamstrings and glutes. So the general rule of thumb is, this is shoulder width apart. When we say shoulder width apart, that basically means if I put my hands up, it's kind of in line with that same thing. You wanna go outside of shoulder width apart. That gives you an overall development from quads, glutes, hamstrings. So go a little bit wider than shoulder width, and then turn your toes out slightly. That protects your knees. So when you're squatting, your knees should follow the line of your toes. You don't want to be squatting, see it all the time. People squatting, and then when they get to the bottom, they do this and push back up. That is terrible for your knees. Anything you're doing, the same way you went down, you want to go up the same way. You don't want random shifts in what you're doing. So I'm squatting, my knees are in line with my toes, and then back up, okay? So obviously this is too low, right? But my wife, we might be a little bit different, right? But what I want to show you is, right, don't be scared to come over here and try to squat. First, make sure your form is right doing body weight squats, right? And then you can use even like a dumbbell. You're gonna come right back. You can even do what's called goblet squats, right? And you can go like this, do your squats, same way, right? You make sure your form is right, make sure your chest is up properly like this, right? But you want to eventually get to where you're doing the bar. Like I said, all these things, it doesn't have to be just in the gym. You can do this at home. You have a little dumbbell at home, you can body weight squats at home, you can have a book bag and what?
Your kid?
That's fat. Look, that's right in there. As daddy was, you can have your baby, your kid, put them on your back, do your squats, whatever, right? So you don't have to be in the gym to do this, right? Things starting getting a little too easy at home. Maybe now it's time to upgrade to the gym because I got more weights, more equipment, and things of that nature. So with the bar, don't be scared of it, right? Just try it. The bar is about 45 pounds, right? It's gonna be on your back. The main thing you wanna do, and I see people make this mistake all the time, is you wanna set this properly. This is your safety rack. So what this does is if you get stuck and you can't push it up, it's protecting you from it falling all the way down to the ground, right? So this is the thing I see people messing up on. So they pick the weight up, right? They set the safety rack where they think it should be, and they're squatting, right? How far is this bar from this safety rack? You see how far that is? If I fall, it's so far for it to actually get to the ground. So what you want to do is, you want to set this rack right below where you would squat at. So I can still go a little bit higher, okay? So now if I were to fail, all I gotta do is come down just a little bit lower and I'm good. And then you just get out, right? So the main thing, you wanna set this to appropriate height to where you don't have to really go that far down after you fail your rep. Even if you're not comfortable getting all the way down when you first start, I'm okay with you cheating a little bit to get used to it, right? So let's say this is your first time having the bar on your back, right? And you start squatting like just to feel it, right? Squat back. Can I get that? Okay, I got that. Let me see if I can go just a little bit lower. Okay, I got that. I'm gonna go a little bit lower. Okay, I got that. And just practice with it. And as you get better, you wanna at least get your depth to 90 degrees. Here. You can go a little bit here, that's perfectly fine too, right? But somewhere in that range, okay?
I definitely want you to know that this is gradual progress. This is definitely not where I started. I started, not really even being able to pick up a bar. I had never done a free weight squat. So this is something that you definitely have to work towards, but it teaches you mentally how capable you are of doing things that you didn't know you were capable of. So most importantly is obviously keeping, your form and keeping everything, centered and tight so that you don't mess up your back. And this belt actually helps with that because it keeps everything, compressed. So I'm going to show you what this looks like.
And just to be clear, right? Even the belt, when in the beginning, you don't want to rely on the belt. When you get to your heavier weights, you can put it on to support and give you a little more assistance. But at the same time, you want to make sure your lower back and everything is getting strong naturally by itself. So you want to use the belt as little as possible when you're at least in your warm-ups for sure, right? And like she mentioned, this is gradual progress. I remember spotting her on just the bar and she almost fell forward on just the bar earlier on. And now she's a beast, right? So yeah, let's get it. £135. Nice and easy. One more. Good work. I feel.
That was good.
Easy money. So when you're spotting somebody, right, you don't want to have somebody spot so that you pick the weight up, right? You don't want to have somebody spotting you from way back here because if something goes wrong, then they can't help you get the weight back up, right? So when you're spotting somebody, also when they get to their heavier weights where it's harder, you also want to spot them by holding the bar because your biceps are not strong enough to help them get the weight up. Where you actually want to spot them from, you want to spot them from here, right? You don't got to be touching the whole time, but close. And the reason for that is you can now use your legs to help them get back up too, right? So I'll show you that here when she's actually doing the weight. All right. So you can guide them out the rack. And now I'm waiting here, okay? Got it? Yep. Yep. Just give me one more. Push. Easy. Good. And then you grab the bar, help them put it back, make sure it's steady. So I'm spotting from here. So you're not touching the whole time, you're close. So that if they got stuck, now you guide them up from here, right? So it's kind of like almost underneath their armpit a little bit. So that's helping them keep their chest up too. The New Birth Fitness family, just remember, this is progress over perfection. You just take it one step at a time. So the best thing you can do right now is just take action. It literally all starts with just one squat. Watch this video as many times as you need to. You're on the road to squat mastery. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe below for more helpful tips, mindset, motivation, and so much more on the way. Make sure to join the Facebook community. It'll be New Birth Fitness. Lily NU-birth space fitness on Facebook. And you can find it below as well. But there'll be cash prize giveaways. That's where you can also give feedback to what videos you want to see in the future, Q&As, and so much more. So definitely go follow there, join the community, and let's make it happen.